Tonight, you don't have to fix anything. You don't have to force change. You don't have to understand every word. All you have to do is listen and let go. Because while you sleep, your subconscious mind is still awake in the background, quietly learning, quietly rewiring, quietly choosing what to keep and what to release. And the most powerful part, your subconscious doesn't change through struggle. It changes through repetition, safety, and relaxed awareness. So, if your mind has been heavy, if you've been carrying stress you can't explain, if you've been trying so hard to become someone new, tonight, you can stop trying. Tonight, you can become safe enough to change. In the next hour, you're going to enter a calmer state, the state where old patterns loosen their grip, where the nervous system softens, and where new beliefs begin to feel natural. Not overnight, but night by night. So find a position that feels comfortable. Let your shoulders drop. Unclench your jaw. And give yourself permission. If you fall asleep quickly, that's perfect. If you stay awake for a while, that's still perfect. This audio will keep working, either way. And as you drift, your subconscious will begin to accept a simple new truth. You are not broken. You are not behind. You are not stuck. You are simply ready to be reprogrammed. Now, take a slow breath in and a longer breath out. And let's begin. You don't need to concentrate right now. You don't need to visualize perfectly. You don't need to believe hard enough. In fact, the less you try, the more powerful this becomes. Because the subconscious mind does not change through effort. It changes when effort steps aside. During the day, your conscious mind is busy. It analyzes. It judges. It questions. It protects old patterns by saying, "That's not realistic," or "I've tried before." This part of the mind is useful for survival, but it is not where deep change happens. Real change happens underneath that layer, and sleep is the doorway. When you begin to fall asleep, your brain naturally slows down. The fast, alert waves of waking life soften. The mind becomes more receptive, less guarded, less defensive. This is not a mystical idea. It is a natural biological state you enter every single night. As your body relaxes, the subconscious mind comes forward. This is the part of you that learned how to walk, how to speak, how to respond emotionally, how to feel safe or unsafe, long before you could explain any of it. Your subconscious learned by repetition, by emotional tone, by environment, not by logic. That is why trying to think your way into change often fails. You can understand everything intellectually and still repeat the same patterns, because patterns do not live in logic. They live in familiarity. And the subconscious loves what is familiar, even when it no longer serves you. This is why change can feel uncomfortable at first. Not because it is wrong, but because it is new. Now here is the key. When you are drifting into sleep, the subconscious becomes more open to new familiarity. It listens without arguing. It absorbs without analyzing. It accepts without needing proof. This is why the moments before sleep are so powerful. Not because you are forcing something to happen, but because resistance naturally fades. Tonight, you are not here to command your subconscious. You are here to invite it. Think of it this way. During the day, The mind is like a locked door with many opinions. At night, that door slowly opens on its own, and whatever you gently place at the doorway is more likely to enter. This audio is not here to overpower your mind. It is here to speak in the language your subconscious already understands. That language is calm, repetition, safety, gentle direction. Your subconscious responds best when it feels safe, not rushed, not threatened, not pressured to be different. Safety tells the nervous system it's okay to let go. And when the nervous system lets go, patterns loosen. That is why you may notice something important tonight. You may not feel dramatic change. You may not feel fireworks. What you may feel is relief. A subtle sense of settling. A quiet exhale you didn't realize you were holding. That is the beginning of reprogramming. Because the subconscious does not need intensity. It needs consistency. Night after night, hearing the same tone, the same direction, the same calm permission. It begins to say, this is safe. This is normal. This is familiar now. And what becomes familiar becomes automatic. This is how habits form. This is how emotional reactions form. This is how identity forms. Not in one big moment, but through gentle repetition. This is why you are not asked to stay awake. If you fall asleep, good. If you drift in and out, good. If you only remember pieces, good. Your subconscious does not need your memory. It needs your presence at the doorway. And you are already there. Now, let's gently clear something important. You are not being controlled. You are not losing free will. Your subconscious is not being overwritten by something foreign. What is happening is much simpler. You are giving your mind new options, new emotional defaults, new internal responses, new ways of interpreting experience. You are not erasing who you are. You are softening what no longer fits. And your subconscious already knows how to do this. It has been adapting your entire life. Every belief you hold now was learned, which means it can be relearned. Not through force, but through exposure. That is why this audio does not rush. It does not demand belief. It simply stays present long enough for your subconscious to relax into something new. Over time, you may notice small changes. You react less. You pause more. Certain thoughts lose their urgency. Old worries feel quieter. These are signs of reprogramming. Not because something magical happened, but because familiarity shifted. And tonight is only the beginning. You don't need to get it right. You don't need to repeat affirmations perfectly. Your only role is to let your body rest and let your mind receive without effort. From here on, the process becomes even simpler. In the next chapter, we will guide your nervous system into a deeper sense of safety, the state where the subconscious opens fully and the body finally realizes. It does not need to stay on guard. For now, let your breathing remain natural. Let your eyelids grow heavier if they want to, and allow this understanding to settle quietly beneath the surface. You are exactly where you need to be, and your subconscious is already listening. There is nothing you need to achieve right now. No goal to reach, no state to force, no experience to make happen. Your body already knows how to rest. Your nervous system already knows how to slow down. It just needs permission. For most of the day, Your system is alert, listening, scanning, preparing, even when you sit still. A part of you stays on guard. That vigilance once kept you safe, but at night it is no longer needed. So in this moment, you are not trying to relax. You are allowing relaxation to arrive. Begin by noticing your breath, not changing it. The inhale arrives on its own. The exhale leaves on its own. Nothing to improve. As you listen, your nervous system begins to receive a simple message. It's okay now. Safety is not something you think yourself into. It is something the body feels. And the body listens to tone, to rhythm, to slowness. That is why we move gently here. If it helps, imagine your body as a volume dial that has been turned up all day. You are not turning it off. You are slowly turning it down, just one notch at a time. Let your shoulders drop, not because they should, but because they can. Let your jaw soften. Let your tongue rest naturally. Notice how much effort those areas were holding. This is the safe state beginning. When the body feels safe, the mind follows. Thoughts may still appear. That's fine. You don't need to chase them. You don't need to push them away. Just let them pass. Like background noise, growing quieter on its own. Your nervous system responds especially well to longer exhales. So if you notice your breath naturally lengthening as it leaves, let it. Each exhale sends a signal inward. No urgency, no danger, no action required. This is not hypnosis. This is not control. This is biology doing what it was designed to do. Now bring attention gently to your body, not scanning, just sensing. Notice the weight of your body being supported. The bed, the chair, the surface beneath you holding you without effort. You don't have to hold yourself. That responsibility can rest for now. As your body settles, your subconscious receives another message. I am allowed to rest without fixing anything. This message is powerful, because many patterns are born from the belief that rest must be earned. Tonight, rest is given freely. You may notice warmth in your hands, or heaviness in your legs, or a floating sensation, or you may notice nothing at all. All responses are correct. The safe state is not measured by sensation. It is measured by the absence of pressure. And pressure is leaving quietly. If at any moment you drift, that is not losing focus. That is success. Because the subconscious opens most fully when the conscious mind loosens its grip. Your job is not to stay awake. Your job is to stay kind to yourself as awareness naturally softens. Let the muscles around your eyes relax. Let your forehead smooth. There is nowhere else to go tonight. No decision to make. No problem to solve. The world can wait. As your nervous system slows, something important happens. Old patterns begin to lose energy. Not because you fought them, but because they were fed by tension. And tension is dissolving. This is why safety comes first. Before new beliefs, before new identity, before any reprogramming, the body must feel safe enough to change. And right now, it does. You may notice your thoughts becoming less linear, less urgent. This is the doorway. From here on, the subconscious becomes more available, more receptive, more willing to update what it has been holding for a long time. You don't need to tell it what to do. It already knows how to heal, how to adapt, how to learn. In the next chapter, We will begin gently releasing old programs, not by resisting them, but by letting them loosen on their own. For now, stay here. Let the breath move you. Let the body rest you. Let the night do its quiet work. You are safe. And the deeper mind. You don't have to fight anything tonight. You don't have to push old patterns away. You don't have to analyze where they came from. You don't have to fix yourself. Because resistance is not how the subconscious releases. The subconscious releases when it no longer feels threatened. Most people try to change by force. They argue with their thoughts. They judge their habits. They pressure themselves to be better. And unknowingly, that pressure becomes the very thing that keeps old programs alive, because the subconscious interprets pressure as danger. And when something feels dangerous, the mind holds on tighter. So tonight, we take a different approach. We do not remove old programs. We outgrow them. Imagine for a moment that your old patterns are not enemies. They are learned responses, protective strategies, ways your system once used to keep you safe, accepted, or in control. At some point in your life, these programs made sense. They helped you adapt. They helped you survive emotionally. They helped you navigate uncertainty. They are not proof that something is wrong with you. They are proof that your mind is intelligent. And intelligence does not need punishment. It needs updating. Think of these old programs as outdated instructions. Not broken. Just no longer accurate for who you are now. And updates do not happen through resistance. They happen when the system realizes, I no longer need this. That realization can only arise in safety, which is why we are here now in this quiet, slowed down state. As you rest, bring to mind very gently the idea that some beliefs no longer need to work so hard. You don't need to name them. You don't need to remember specific moments. Just allow the possibility that certain inner reactions have been running automatically, long after their job was done. For some people, these programs sound like I must rush. I must prove myself. I can't slow down. I'm behind. I need to control everything. For others, they feel like tension without a reason. Guilt when resting. Fear when things are calm. Unease when nothing is wrong. You do not need to identify which ones belong to you. Your subconscious already knows. And tonight, it is being given permission to loosen its grip. Notice how different this feels from trying to let go. There is no command here. There is only allowance. Allowance tells the subconscious, you can relax now. The environment has changed. As your body rests, your mind begins to recognize something subtle. You are no longer in the situations where these programs were first learned. You are here, safe, supported, listening, and that recognition alone begins the release. You may feel a sigh rise from deep inside, or a wave of heaviness, or nothing at all. Release does not need sensation. Release happens quietly, like a muscle unclenching after holding tension for years. There is often a moment barely noticeable when effort drops. That moment is important, because effort was feeding the old pattern, and now effort is no longer required. Let your breathing remain natural as this continues. Each breath out becomes a signal, I don't need to hold this anymore. You may notice your thoughts slowing further, or drifting, or repeating softly. That is fine. The subconscious does not release in a straight line. It releases in layers. Some layers dissolve tonight. Others loosen over time. There is no deadline. No expectation. Your system is allowed to take the pace it trusts. Now, imagine, not visualize. Just sense that your mind is like a room that has been crowded for a long time. Old beliefs, old reactions, old assumptions. No one is being pushed out. Instead, space is being made. And when space appears, what no longer belongs naturally moves aside. This is the intelligence of release. You do not have to know what is leaving. You will notice it later in how you respond differently, in how certain triggers lose intensity, in how your body feels calmer without explanation. That is how you know it worked. Not through effort, through ease. This is why we do not resist. Resistance says, something is wrong. Allowance says, something is updating. And updates happen best when the system feels respected. Now let's deepen this process slightly, silently, without repeating out loud. Let these ideas pass through you like a breeze. Not a command. I am allowed to change without struggle. I am allowed to rest without guilt. I am allowed to feel safe in calm. Do not force these statements. If they resonate, let them land. If they don't, let them pass. Your subconscious will take what fits. Everything else can fade. This chapter is not about becoming someone new. It is about becoming less burdened by vigilance, less burdened by old urgency, less burdened by stories that no longer define you. As this release continues, you may notice something unexpected, a sense of neutrality, not happiness, not excitement, just okayness. That neutrality is powerful, because neutrality is where new programming can take root. Old programs are fueled by emotion, especially fear and pressure. When emotion settles, those programs lose their power source, and quietly, they begin to dissolve. You do not need to stay awake for this. If you fall asleep, your subconscious will continue the process. If you drift in and out, the process continues. If you remember nothing later, the process still continues, because release does not depend on memory. It depends on environment. And tonight, the environment is safe. In the next chapter, we will begin installing new patterns, not as affirmations you must believe, but as identities that feel natural, familiar, and calm. For now, there is nothing else to do. Let the old weight settle where it belongs in the past. Let the body sink further into rest. Let the mind remain open, unguarded, and gentle. You are not losing anything valuable. You are only releasing what no longer needs to stay. And your subconscious is doing this beautifully in its own time, without force, without resistance. You don't need to create calm. Calm is not something you build from scratch. It is something you return to, beneath every habit, every reaction, every pattern you've ever had. There is a quieter state that has always existed, a state where nothing is wrong, where nothing needs fixing, where you are simply here. That state is calm. Not the calm of avoiding life, not the calm of numbing out, but the calm of being internally steady even while life moves around you. This chapter is not about thinking positively. It is not about convincing yourself that everything is fine. It is about allowing your subconscious to adopt a new default setting. Because most stress is not caused by what happens. It is caused by what the subconscious expects. When the subconscious expects danger, urgency, or pressure, the body stays tense even when nothing is happening. Tonight, that expectation begins to change, not through effort, through familiarity. As you rest here, your subconscious is learning something new. Calm is safe. Calm is allowed. Calm does not mean something bad is coming next. For many people, calm feels unfamiliar. The nervous system learned early on that quiet meant waiting. Waiting for something to go wrong. Waiting for demands. Waiting for judgment. So the body learned to stay alert. That alertness became identity. I'm someone who must stay on top of things. I can't relax. If I slow down, I'll fall behind. These are not facts. They are learned associations. And learned associations can change. Calm does not erase your ambition. Calm does not make you passive. Calm does not weaken you. Calm gives you clarity. And clarity makes action precise instead of frantic. As your body remains supported, let the idea of calm pass through you, not as a goal, but as a permission. Permission to let the shoulders rest without checking if it's okay. Permission to let the breath deepen without watching it. Permission to exist without preparing for the next moment. Your subconscious is beginning to recognize something important. Nothing bad happens when you are calm. In fact, many things improve. Your thinking becomes cleaner. Your emotions become less reactive. Your energy becomes steadier. Calm is not absence of feeling. It is balance of feeling. And balance is what the subconscious seeks. As this identity installs gently, you may notice moments of stillness between thoughts. Do not fill those spaces. Those spaces are where the new default forms. Silence teaches the subconscious what peace feels like in the body. Not imagined peace, felt peace. This is why calm must be experienced, not described. Your body is experiencing it now, even if subtly. There may be a sense of heaviness, or warmth, or neutrality, or simply less effort. That is calm taking root. Now, allow this idea to rest inside you, without repeating it forcefully. There is a version of you who moves through life without inner urgency. A version who responds instead of reacts. Who pauses without guilt. Who trusts their timing. You do not need to become that version. You are allowing it to surface. Because it was never gone. It was simply covered by habit. Tonight, your subconscious is learning that calm is not a threat. It is home. And as this understanding settles, your nervous system begins to recalibrate automatically. The heart rate softens. The muscles release microtension. The breath finds its natural rhythm. This is not something you are doing. It is something happening. A calm identity installs through repetition, night after night. This tone, this pace, this permission, teach the subconscious, this is how we live now. And once calm becomes familiar, it becomes automatic. You don't have to remember to relax. You don't have to remind yourself to slow down. Your system chooses it on its own. That is real reprogramming. And from calm, something else becomes possible. Self-trust. Discipline without force. Focus without pressure. But those can only grow once calm is the foundation. For now, let calm continue to settle. Let it sink below thought, below effort, Below identity, you are not losing momentum. You are gaining stability, and stability is what allows growth to last. In the next chapter, we will begin installing self-trust and gentle discipline, the kind that comes from inner alignment, not from pushing yourself forward. For now, remain here, resting, supported, calm. Your subconscious is learning something new, and it feels you do not need more motivation. Motivation rises and falls. It comes and goes with mood, energy, and circumstance. What lasts, what quietly shapes your life day after day, is self-trust. Last kommen sem, last kommen stime. Self-trust is the subconscious belief that you will follow through not perfectly, not dramatically, but consistently, and discipline, when it is healthy, is simply self-trust in motion. Most people learn discipline the hard way, through pressure, through fear of failure, through comparison, through the belief that rest must be earned and worth must be proven. That kind of discipline works for a while, and then it breaks you, because the subconscious does not thrive under threat. It complies until it rebels. Tonight, we install a different kind of discipline, a discipline that feels calm, a discipline that feels respectful, a discipline that does not require force, the kind that grows naturally when the subconscious feels safe and supported. Self-trust begins very small, not with big promises, not with dramatic goals. It begins with tiny agreements kept quietly, promises you make to yourself that your body believes you can keep. When those promises are honored, the subconscious starts to relax. It stops bracing for disappointment. It stops expecting abandonment from yourself. Many patterns of procrastination, self-sabotage, and inconsistency are not laziness. They are protection. Protection from the pain of broken self-trust. Tonight, that pattern begins to soften, not because you swear to change, but because your subconscious is learning that you no longer demand too much from yourself. Gentle discipline sounds like this: I move when it's time to move. I rest when it's time to rest. I do what I said I would within reason. And when I don't, I return without punishment. There is no shame here. Shame destroys discipline. Kindness restores it. Your subconscious responds deeply to tone. When the inner voice is harsh, the body resists. When the inner voice is calm and steady, the body cooperates. As you rest now, your subconscious is being introduced to a new internal relationship, one based on respect. You are no longer the authority that threatens. You are the guide that stays. This changes everything. Imagine how different life feels when you trust yourself, when decisions feel grounded, when follow-through feels natural, when effort is measured, not forced. That version of you is not distant. It is forming quietly now. Discipline, rooted in self-trust, feels different in the body. It feels like clarity instead of tension, like direction instead of urgency, like steadiness instead of pressure. Your nervous system does not tighten around it. It aligns. This is how lasting habits form. Not through willpower, but through identity. An identity that says, I am someone who keeps gentle promises. I am someone who returns. I am someone who moves forward without violence toward myself. You don't need to repeat these words. Your subconscious absorbs meaning through repetition and experience. not memorization. Tonight, the experience is safety, and safety allows discipline to grow. Now let this understanding sink a little deeper. You are allowed to take things step by step. You are allowed to progress quietly. You are allowed to change without announcing it. Your subconscious no longer needs grand gestures to believe in you. It needs consistency. And consistency grows best in calm environments. That is why this work happens at night. When comparison is gone, when expectations are quiet, when the world is not asking anything of you. Here, your subconscious learns that discipline does not mean pushing. It means listening. Listening to energy. Listening to timing. Listening to capacity. This kind of discipline feels sustainable. It does not burn you out. It builds you up. Over time, you may notice something subtle. You start doing things because they feel aligned, not because you are forcing yourself. You follow through without internal arguments. You stop negotiating with resistance, because resistance dissolves when trust is present. This is the moment where many people believe something is wrong because it feels too easy. But ease is not weakness. Ease is efficiency. When the subconscious trusts you, it stops fighting. And when it stops fighting, energy becomes available. Energy that was once spent on tension, on self-doubt, on internal conflict returns to you. That energy becomes focus, presence, creative movement. This is the discipline that lasts. Now, as you rest here, your subconscious is learning to associate discipline with calm success, not punishment. That association is being installed quietly. You may not notice it tonight. You will notice it later, in how you begin, in how you continue, in how you recover when you pause. Self-trust does not require perfection. It requires return. And your subconscious is learning that return is safe. That return is welcomed. That return does not come with shame. This is how consistency is built. Not through force, but through a stable internal relationship. As this chapter settles, let your body continue resting. Let the mind remain soft. There is nothing you need to commit to right now. No plan to make. No promise to declare. Your subconscious is already integrating what it needs. In the next chapter, we will deepen this foundation by installing a sense of worthiness not based on achievement, but based on being. For now, stay here, supported, calm, steady. You are becoming someone who trusts themselves. And that trust is enough to carry you forward. You do not need to earn your right to exist peacefully. You do not need to justify your rest. You do not need to prove your value through exhaustion. You do not need to become someone else to be enough. Most people do not struggle because they lack ability. They struggle because, deep down, the subconscious learned a quiet rule. Worth must be earned. Earned through productivity. Earned through sacrifice. Earned through pleasing others. Earned through being useful, impressive, or needed. And when worth feels conditional, the nervous system never truly rests, because it is always waiting for the next test. Tonight, that rule begins to soften, not by replacing it with loud affirmations, not by arguing with it, but by letting the subconscious experience something new, being without performing. As you rest here, nothing is being asked of you. No role to play, no image to maintain, no expectation to meet. And yet, you are still here, still breathing, still allowed to take up space. That experience alone teaches the subconscious something powerful. Worth does not disappear when you stop trying. It remains. This is how worthiness is installed, not through belief, but through lived experience. Many inner patterns come from a simple misunderstanding. The subconscious once believed that love, safety, or belonging depended on effort. So it learned to perform, to anticipate, to overgive, to stay alert. Those patterns may have kept you connected in the past, but now they keep you tired. Worthiness is not the absence of growth. It is the absence of self-erasure. When you know you are worthy, you still grow, you still act, you still improve, but you do not abandon yourself to do it. As your body remains supported, your subconscious is learning to associate worth with presence, not performance. Notice how different that feels. There is no rush here, no pressure to arrive. You are allowed to be unfinished and still valuable. You are allowed to be learning and still whole. This understanding settles slowly. It does not land as excitement. It lands as relief. Relief in the chest. Relief in the stomach. Relief in the space behind the eyes. Where effort once lived, space begins to appear. Worthiness changes how you relate to everything. You stop chasing validation. You stop fearing pause. You stop interpreting rest as failure. Because when worth is stable, nothing needs to be proven. The subconscious responds deeply to this stability. When it no longer feels judged from within, it stops defending. And when defense drops, energy returns. This is why worthiness is not a nice idea. It is a biological shift. The body releases tension when it no longer feels evaluated. As you rest now, your subconscious is absorbing this message without words. I am allowed to exist without effort. I am allowed to be seen without performing. I am allowed to be valued without pressure. You do not need to repeat these ideas. If they resonate, they settle. If they don't, they pass. The subconscious only keeps what fits. Now, let's gently deepen this. Imagine without visualizing that your inner voice becomes quieter. Not silent, just kinder. Less commentary. Less comparison, less measurement. That quieter voice is not lazy. It is secure. Security does not rush. Security does not panic. Security does not over-explain. It simply is. This is the voice your subconscious trusts. And trust is what allows worthiness to integrate. Over time, you may notice subtle changes. You say no more easily. You rest without guilt. You stop explaining yourself. Not because you don't care, but because you no longer doubt your right to choose. This is worthiness in action. It does not announce itself. It expresses itself through boundaries. And boundaries are not walls. They are clarity. Clarity tells the nervous system, I am safe being me. As this chapter continues to settle, your body may feel heavier, or lighter, or simply neutral. Neutrality is important, because neutrality means worth is no longer charged. It is no longer debated. It simply exists. That is the state we are installing. A state where your value is not tied to mood, productivity, or approval. A state where you can rest without losing yourself. You may not feel transformed tonight. That is not the goal. The goal is familiarity. night after night. This tone, this permission, this absence of demand teaches the subconscious a new baseline, and baselines shape lives. In the next chapter, we will build on this foundation by introducing abundance and expansion not as something to chase, but as something that responds naturally to a stable, worthy inner state. For now, let worthiness continue to settle quietly. No proving, no performing, no effort, just being. And that is already enough. Abundance does not arrive through force. It does not respond to pressure. It does not move faster when you worry about it. And it does not grow when you chase it from a place of lack. Abundance responds to alignment. Alignment is the quiet state where your inner world is no longer at war with itself. When you trust yourself, when you feel worthy without proving, when your nervous system is calm enough to listen, the subconscious naturally begins to notice opportunities it once ignored. Not because the world suddenly changed, but because you did. For many people, the word abundance carries tension. It has been tied to struggle, to comparison, to urgency, to the feeling of being late or behind. So tonight, we gently release that association. Abundance is not something you demand from life. It is something that forms when your inner state becomes stable enough to receive. Your subconscious learns abundance the same way it learned everything else, through familiarity. If scarcity felt familiar in the past, the mind learned to expect it. If stress felt normal, the body learned to brace. If effort felt required for survival, the system learned to push. Those were learned patterns, and learned patterns can change. Not by pretending scarcity never existed, but by showing the subconscious a new reference point. That reference point is enoughness. Enoughness does not mean settling. It does not mean giving up desire. It means no longer operating from fear. When fear leaves, perception sharpens. You begin to see timing instead of panic. You begin to recognize leverage instead of exhaustion. You begin to act from clarity instead of reaction. That is abundance in motion. As you rest here, your subconscious is absorbing a new association. Calm leads to opportunity. Clarity leads to movement. Patience leads to growth. This is not magical thinking. It is how the mind works when it is not overloaded. When the nervous system is regulated, the brain accesses higher-level problem-solving. Creativity increases. Impulse decreases. Decisions become cleaner. And cleaner decisions compound. Abundance is rarely about one big moment. It is about many, small, aligned choices made without inner resistance. Tonight, your subconscious is learning that abundance does not require strain. It requires presence. Presence allows you to notice what feels right, what feels sustainable, what feels timed correctly. You stop forcing outcomes and start cooperating with reality. This shift happens quietly. You may notice it later when you say yes to something that feels simple but meaningful, or when you say no without guilt, or when you move steadily instead of rushing. These are signs of abundance taking root. Because abundance is not just money. It is space, energy, options, choice. And choice only exists when the mind is not trapped in urgency. Your subconscious is now learning to associate abundance with safety. Safety tells the system, I don't have to grab. I don't have to rush. I don't have to compete. And from that state, the right actions emerge naturally. Abundance grows where attention is steady, not scattered, not frantic. Steady. That steadiness is being installed now. You may notice thoughts about the future arise. Plans, ideas, possibilities. Let them pass gently. There is no need to act on them now. Seeds are being planted. Seeds grow best when the soil is calm. Tonight is about preparing the soil. As your subconscious settles deeper, it begins to release old beliefs like, I must struggle to deserve more. Nothing comes easily. If I relax, I'll lose momentum. These beliefs were learned in environments that required defense. You are not in those environments now, and your subconscious knows it. It is updating accordingly. Abundance also requires trust. Trust that effort and rest can coexist. Trust that progress does not vanish when you pause. Trust that consistency matters more than intensity. That trust is forming quietly. You do not need to visualize success. You do not need to imagine numbers or outcomes. Those images can create pressure. Instead, your subconscious is learning to feel comfortable with growth, comfortable with expansion, comfortable with receiving. Receiving is a skill. Many people unknowingly resist receiving because it feels unfamiliar. So tonight, we remove that resistance gently. You are allowed to receive support. You are allowed to receive ease. You are allowed to receive opportunities without explaining why you deserve them. This does not make you passive. It makes you responsive. Responsive to timing. Responsive to intuition. Responsive to what feels aligned. That responsiveness is powerful. It keeps you from wasting energy on paths that drain you. It guides you toward paths that build quietly over time. As this chapter continues, you may feel a sense of openness, not excitement, not urgency, just openness. That openness is abundance's doorway, and your subconscious is learning to leave it unlocked. Over time, you may notice you worry less about outcomes. You focus more on process. You take cleaner actions. You recover faster from setbacks. These are all expressions of abundance. Not loud, not flashy, stable. And stability attracts growth. Because what is stable can be trusted. As your body continues resting, let this understanding settle beneath awareness. There is nothing you need to repeat, no mantra to memorize. Your subconscious is already integrating what it needs. In the next chapter, we will gently expand this foundation into relationships, connection, and exchange how abundance flows not just through resources, but through people and shared energy. For now, stay here, calm, open, steady. Abundance is no longer something you chase. It is something that responds to who you are becoming. And that process is already underway. There is nothing left for you to do now. No effort, no focus, no intention to hold. This chapter is not about adding anything new. It is about letting everything you've already received settle, sink deeper, and continue on its own. Your conscious mind can rest. Your subconscious knows exactly what to do next. As your body becomes heavier, as awareness softens, the mind begins to move into a different rhythm. This is the rhythm where change becomes automatic. You do not need to listen carefully anymore. You do not need to remember words. Your subconscious does not work through effort. It works through repetition and safety. And both are present now. Tonight, What you've experienced does not end with this chapter. It loops, gently, quietly, without interruption. Each time your breathing deepens, the loop continues. Each time your muscles release, the loop strengthens. Each time your thoughts drift away, the loop integrates. There is no beginning and no end to it. Just a slow, calming cycle. Your subconscious is absorbing patterns. Not sentences. Patterns of calm. Patterns of safety. Patterns of self-trust. Patterns of worthiness. Patterns of alignment. And patterns, once learned, do not disappear. They become defaults. As sleep deepens, your brain waves naturally shift from waking awareness into relaxation, into deeper states where the subconscious is most receptive. In these states, the mind stops questioning. It stops comparing. It stops analyzing. And when analysis stops, beliefs reorganize themselves. Old programs no longer receive energy. Programs based on rushing, on proving, on pressure, on self-doubt, on emotional tension, without energy. They fade, not because you fought them, but because you stopped feeding them. In their place, new defaults quietly take over. Calm becomes the baseline. Peace becomes familiar. Self-trust becomes natural. You wake up differently, not because you tried to change, but because your inner system updated overnight. This is how real reprogramming works. Not through force, through rest. As you sleep, your subconscious continues to loop these truths. You are allowed to rest. You do not need to rush. You do not need to prove. You do not need to be perfect to be worthy. These messages do not demand attention. They simply repeat softly until they feel normal. Your body responds first. Breathing becomes smoother. Sleep becomes deeper. Tension releases without effort. The nervous system learns that nighttime is not a place of vigilance. It is a place of repair. Your subconscious understands that sleep is not off time. It is integration time. While you sleep, your mind files away the unnecessary. It strengthens what supports you. It connects insights that logic cannot reach. You may not remember any of this tomorrow morning. And that is perfect, because change does not require memory. It requires consistency. And this loop provides that. Each night you listen. The pathway strengthens. Each night you rest. The identity stabilizes. Each night the loop repeats. The new self becomes less new and more you. Over time, you begin to notice subtle shifts, not dramatic ones. Subtle. You respond instead of react. You pause instead of rush. You choose clarity over chaos. Your decisions feel quieter, cleaner, less emotionally charged. This is the result of an integrated subconscious, one that is no longer running outdated scripts. As the loop continues, your subconscious also learns something deeper. You are not broken. You never were. You were conditioned. And conditioning can be released when the environment changes. Tonight, the environment is calm, safe, non-demanding. So the subconscious finally relaxes. And when it relaxes, it reorganizes. This reorganization does not stop when you fall asleep. It continues through every sleep cycle. Light sleep, deep sleep, dreaming sleep. Each stage plays a role. During dreams, Emotions are processed. During deep sleep, the body repairs. During lighter stages, memory and identity consolidate. Everything you've absorbed tonight is being woven into these cycles. No effort required. You do not need to try to sleep well. Sleep will take you. Your job is over. From this point forward, the voice may soften. Words may space out. Pauses may grow longer. This is intentional. Because silence is not emptiness. Silence is where the subconscious speaks. If thoughts appear, let them drift. If images surface, let them pass. Nothing needs to be followed. Nothing needs to be completed. Even awareness itself can fade. The loop continues with or without attention. That is the power of it. As this chapter gently dissolves into quiet, your subconscious repeats what matters most. I am allowed to rest. I am allowed to be calm. I am allowed to trust myself. I am allowed to take my time. I am allowed to receive. These are not affirmations you repeat consciously. They are states you inhabit unconsciously. And once a state becomes familiar, life rearranges around it. Opportunities feel less forced. Relationships feel less draining. Choices feel more aligned. Not because the world changed, but because you did. Tonight, the work continues quietly. Tomorrow, you may wake with no memory of words, but with a different feeling in your body. A steadier presence. A softer mind. A calmer center. That is enough. Now, let go completely. Let the voice fade. Let the silence grow. Let sleep take over. The loop is active. The subconscious is listening. The transformation is underway. You do not need to stay awake for it. Just sleep and allow everything to continue naturally. You don't need to do anything else now. No thinking, no remembering, no effort to change yourself. Just sleep. Because from this moment on, your subconscious mind has already begun working for you. With every deeper breath, with every muscle that softens, with every sleep cycle that passes, what you've just heard is being repeated, reinforced, and gently integrated beneath awareness. You don't need to stay awake to manifest. You don't need to stay alert to reprogram. Sleep is when the process works best. Tonight, allow this audio to keep playing in the background. No high volume. No focus required. Just let it be there like a calm presence surrounding you. If you wake during the night, there is nothing to fix. Simply return to rest. If you hear a few words, that's fine. If you hear nothing at all, even better, because your subconscious is always listening, even when your conscious mind is completely at rest. If you already feel calmer, more grounded, or more at ease than when you started, leave a small signal in the comments. I am ready, or my mind is safe to change. Not for the algorithm, not for the channel, but for your own subconscious. And if you'd like to continue reprogramming your mind while you sleep, breathing more deeply, and returning to a calm, stable inner state each night, subscribe to Sleep Success audiobook so you always have a safe space where your mind can rest and your subconscious can reset. Now, you don't need to listen to me anymore. Let the voice fade. Let the silence expand. Let sleep take over. Tonight, your mind is learning how to feel safe. And from that safety, every positive change will unfold naturally.